Hi guys, we're here with Dawn today talking about the Foster Care Review Board. Some of you may have heard of this before and some of you it might be totally new. So Dawn, why don't you start off just introducing yourself and talk about the role that you play with the Foster Care Review Board.
Excellent. So yes, my name is Dawn Gert. I am the program coordinator for the Foster Care Review Board. I happen to be out of Dubuque County. And the Foster Care Review Board is a county-based panel of 5 to 7 trained volunteers who work within the child welfare system. So the Foster Care Review Board's job is to conduct scheduled reviews for kids who are placed in out-of-home placements to make sure that there is progress being made in the goals of the child's permanency plan.
Great. So you said it's a list of volunteers. How are these volunteers trained? How are they selected? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yep. So when we have openings on our board, we recruit within the community for people who are interested in getting involved. A lot of the people on our board right now, we have several business people from the community. We have several retired teachers and administrators from the school district who are involved. And so basically we put out a call for people that might be interested in joining, and then they undergo specific and specialized training to have a good understanding of the child welfare system and what it is that we're asking of them to do during these reviews.
Which is a great question. What do they do during the reviews? What does a review consist of? What are they looking for? What are they checking up on? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So the review board is meant to be a series of kind of checks and balances for the DHS system to, one, ensure that progress is being made or that the case is moving forward to assure that the child gets a permanency option, that they've got a permanent placement, whether it's, reunification with parents, placement in foster care, adoption, guardianship, whatever it might be. So the goal is that they're getting updates specific to how the child is doing in their current placement. Mm-hmm. Things like doctor's appointments, any services such as therapy, BHIS, those types of services that they might be engaged in. How are the children doing just with the overall basic needs in the foster care? How are they eating? How are they sleeping? How are they doing when they come home from visits? How are they doing when they're getting ready to go on, family interactions? Those types of updates. They're also checking in on the case plan goals or what the court ordered goals are for both the child and the parents in the case to see what progress is being made. And then also checking in on where things are at actually within the juvenile court system. So what hearings are being held, which ones are coming up, and are they being held in the timely manner that's set forth by state law?
Right. And you may have mentioned this before, but what's the timeline for this? When does this happen? How often does it happen?
So usually a child gets what's called indexed into the Foster Care Review Board after they've been in out-of-home placement for several months. And then the child comes before the review board, and then they come again every 6 months is when the review is supposed to happen. Sometimes reviews might happen shorter depending on where the court hearings are. So maybe they get reviewed after 4 months because there's an upcoming permanency hearing or a review hearing. But normally we try to correlate those for like the month before a court hearing. So usually every 4 to 6 months, the child will be reviewed again.
Okay. And so when a case does come up for review, what role would a foster parent play in that? You said a child comes before, do they physically come before that board or, like in real life, what does that really look like? Yeah.
So sometimes when foster parents, in my experience, sometimes when foster parents they'll get a letter, either through email, if we have access to their email, if they're in, the court documents or the DHS documents have an email, they'll get an email or they'll get a physical letter in the mail stating the review date, time, and place. Sometimes we've had foster parents that have panicked a little bit at the term Foster Care Review Board, and they think that they are being reviewed for some reason. So please, they need to know that it is not a review of their care of the child. It is a review of just where the child is at in the child welfare system. So they will get notified again by letter of a date, time, and place where the review board occurs. Everyone who is an interested party in the case, so the attorneys, obviously the parents, the attorneys, the foster parents, if there's other providers, again, like a therapist, school, BHIS, those types of services, also all get invited to come in and provide updates on how the child is doing. Right now, we're kind of going back and forth between virtual meetings where we're doing them through Zoom because of obviously the current COVID, or usually they are held in person in each community. Normally they're held sometimes in churches, United Way offices, things like that. So each region differs where they're held, but they are normally held in person, and you're given a specific time. There's usually, depending on how many children are in the case, like a 20 to 40-minute block of time that's set off for each specific case.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you mentioned you're kind of like debunking the myth. Like when a foster parent hears foster care
Yes.
board, it feels like, oh no, I've done something wrong as a foster parent,
Yes.
or I'm under some scrutiny or something, like
Correct.
it sounds like you've gotten some foster parents that they hear that and they
Yeah.
a little bit. But just to reiterate, as a foster parent, you're not in trouble. This is just
Correct.
a regular checks and
Yep.
balances system just to make sure that kids
Mhm.
are getting all the services that they need. And you mentioned a lot of things already about what sort of things would be appropriate to share with
Yep.
them, how to be involved in that. I feel like it's, you're just another member of the team to communicate what's in the best interest of the child, and for the foster parent to just observe all the things that they're seeing and things that are going on, both in their home, but also with interactions with
Correct.
and services.
Correct.
Yeah.
A report, then there is a facilitator for those meetings, and they record, meeting minutes, so to speak, and they do send a report to the judge on how that review went. So the judge in the case does get a review of, again, what were all the updates that were shared. And then furthermore, the review board, following getting those narrative updates, also has a checklist that they complete that, again, just talks about, has the case plan been updated timely? Are court hearings being held on the schedule set forth by Iowa law? Have services been provided? Things like, are they being allowed, if they're not placed with a sibling, are they having sibling interaction? All
Mhm.
of those types of things are looked at by the board and then submitted to the judge.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Just another person making sure that those kids get all
Yep.
the services that they need. That's really great. Um, yeah. Do you have any other just information that you want to share? Or I have one other question. Sorry about that. Does every single child come up does every single case get reviewed by the review board?
So the language says out of home placements.
Okay. Thank you.
And so in different regions, sometimes it's just foster care placement. Some regions do review foster care and relative or in more informal placements as well. So really, if they have a question on whether or not there will be a foster care review board on a child that's in their care, they would probably want to check with the child's DHS record to see specifically in their region, how is it normally done?
Sure. Yep. That makes a ton of sense. And of course, caseworkers are always a great, question stop,
Yeah.
place where you can get those questions answered and figure, get those contact information and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's great.
In the letter that they received, the invitation that they received to the foster care review board, there's also contact information for the administrative assistant for the foster care review board. So if they had any questions, concerns, anything, they can always reach out to us as well. One other thing that I should note real quick is that if they're not able to be present in person for whatever reason, sometimes schedules, days, time off work, etc., doesn't work, there is a written option for them that they get that's almost like a questionnaire that they could fill out that and submit it, that asks just how are they doing? How are things going in the home? What concerns are you seeing with the child? What strengths are you seeing with the child? And so they could submit that questionnaire if they weren't able to attend in person as well. And then that gets shared by the facilitator at the board, so that their input is still, valuable and heard.
Yeah, that's great information for sure. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that we missed that you want to share with our foster families today?
I don't think so. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Dawn. We appreciate the information and just helping all of our foster families be, equipped with all the resources and kind of have an idea of all the different players and team members involved in foster care. So appreciate you being here so much.
Thank you.